Hello everybody and welcome to Sword Art Online Alicization, War of Underworld, the final episode, anime review. Bloody hell, what a journey we've been on. And what a way to end it. Really gonna be honest, didn't see that coming. Okay, we'll unpack that when we get to it, because, you know, that wasn't all of it. It started, like, pretty well. It was like, okay, I can see how this is the ending. And then things just got weird. I'm like, okay, where do we go from here? You know, what? Like, it felt like we were missed a bit, if I'm being completely honest. It feels like they needed to explain what the hell was going on at the end better. It was still awesome, and it kind of makes sense, you know, however many years have passed. Makes a lot of sense, but anyway, let's just get into the final episode. I haven't done a finale in a while. How it's going to work, going to go through the episode, talk about that. Then I'm going to talk about the series as a whole, you know, sort of say what I think about it. Should I do just this? I'll just talk about everything I feel the need to talk about. And then at the very end, obviously, you've probably seen the announcement, but we'll talk about what's next, I guess. That makes a lot of sense. Anyway, let's jump into the episode, see how it all went down, and do this thing. So the phone call that Kirito got from Rinko, Alice has gone missing. That's not good. Don't you guys have security cameras to sort of figure this out? Not too sure there. Kirito goes to head there to Wrath to figure out what it is, and he gets a mysterious delivery from Wrath. And what's in the box? That's all I'm going to say. How did she do that? So Alice is in the box, and I'm going to be honest, I was like, no, how did she fit in there? Did she, like, she's a robot. Did she, like, unattach her robot parts to get in, maybe? And then have Kirito put her back together? I have no idea how she fit in there, because there's no way she can contortionist her way into that. I have no idea. But anyway, she really wanted to speak to Kirito. She's very mad at him because she didn't know that Kirito might have died in, you know, that would have been the last time that she would have seen him, you know, when he was fighting Subtilizer, 200 years. He could have died is the gist of it. She's mad at him for that. She would have fought as well, and then things get... Oh, again there. She says, what am I to you? And I'm like, oh no, Kirito, what are you going to do now? What are you going to do? You're in trouble. He says that she's his hope. She is the hope of everyone that died in the Underworld, and I guess in the real world as well, although I don't think anyone really died in the real world. Kayaba, maybe? Maybe Kayaba? Who knows? What could the future be, she says, and then Kirito's like, doesn't matter what the future is, you're the one that's going to shape the future, because you're one of a kind, the start of a new era, and that is true, you know. Change the world and everything, hope of everyone that died, that I said before. Let's quickly tell Rinko. Kirito does that. She wasn't mad. She said that Alice can stay the night, so Alice gets to stay at Kirito's house, and she is just the most excitable person. The look on her face, which is like, oh, show me this, show me that. I'm like, oh, you are the best, Alice. I knew I made the right choice. And, you know, that is a war that will rage on. Not the War of Underworld, the waifu war of Underworld. Let's go with that. Kirito takes her to the dojo and everything. It's very apropos, I guess. And she wants to have a duel with Kirito, and that they do. They both grab a stick. What are they called? A shinai? Shinai is the name, I think. And then they get ready. They lock horns, so to speak, and immediately break both sticks. Like Alice, I can understand. She's got a robot body. Kirito got some muscle on it. That boy broke that stick hard too. I guess you're not supposed to throw it around like an actual sword. You're meant to use, you know, it's not exactly the same. Which I guess makes some sense. But hey, they smashed it, and then Alice and Kirito bump heads, basically. Only thing to note here, Alice is a robot, and she has a metal head, so Kirito has got a severe concussion now. And he may need to get medical assistance. But she lands right on top of him, and I was like, do the thing. For a second, I was like, oh my god, they're kissing. They weren't kissing. Missed opportunity there. Come on. Throw Asuna to the side. Alice is better. I'll man that ship to the death. Anyway, yeah, she tells him that she'll be fine now. Everything's going to be fine, you know. She's okay with living in the world now. But the battle isn't over yet. The battle is the ignorant public, I think, is the gist of what's going on there. Dinner time with the Kirigaya family. They're all there, which is weird. I don't think we've ever seen Kirito's dad before. So there he is, or, you know, adopted dad, whatever, not important. So he's there. Kirito's dad is not happy and needs to talk to Kirito. Sorry for worrying you. They're like, oh yeah, I'm sorry I disappeared. Like, mate, he got injected in the heart. That wasn't Kirito's fault, you know, that he got injected. Like, they're blaming him. No, not cool. Not cool. Dad says, put all your effort into studying. It's sort of a surreal conversation in a way, because we know Kirito as, you know, Black Swordsman hero Kirito. When in reality, yeah, he's just a student. And that's how his family sees him. It is an interesting, you know, juxtaposition. I actually kind of liked it a lot, if I'm being honest. He's changed his mind. He's not going to study abroad anymore. Instead, he wants to work at Wrath, and Alice just looks very happy. And she's like, ah, this is almost like you picking me over Asuna. That's never going to happen, but a boy can dream. A boy can dream. Alice calls his dad father and backs Kirito up, and Sugu's just like, you just called him father. Basically says, yeah, Kirito's great. Kirito'll be great. And they're like, we know he's a hero. He's a hero in this world as well. His dad calls him the Black Swordsman, which has just got to be the most embarrassing thing, I think, for poor Kirito. Like, in a kind of nice way. That's got to be really embarrassing. What is his dad? His dad says, live with no regrets, no matter what you do, basically. So they're cool with whatever his dream is. Just put 110% in effort in there, Kazuto boy. Do that. And your friends will support you the whole way. Later on that night, somebody sneaks into Kirito's room. It's Alice, and she is wearing... I mean, she's not wearing any pants. Let's just be honest. She's wearing a one long shirt and nothing on her bottom, which, hey, thighs are good. Thumbs up. Thumbs up for thighs. I concur. Basically, the real reason she woke him up is to... she got an email from a mystery person. I guess she just gets emails to her body because she's a robot. And she also, like, points at a printer and then it turns on. She was also, like, plugged into... Like, she was charging, like, on the wall earlier as well, which is... It's just funny visuals, you know, just pretty funny. Having a robot friend, I guess. But what the email was, it was floors from the central cathedral, like floor numbers from the central cathedral. Kirito writes them down and figures out, hey, it's an IP address. Fun fact about the IP address, if you go to that in the real life, it comes up with a picture of the Rulid trio, Kirito, Yu-Gi-Oh, and Alice as kids. It's just a nice picture of them. You know, I don't think it's been released before. But there's a nice little Easter egg if you like. I do like things like that. Just a little bit of extra effort goes a long way, you know? What this IP address is, though, it's a path to get to the Underworld, it seems. I don't really know what they mean by that. Can't you just connect via the Soul Translator? Like, why do you need the IP address? Unless, of course, the IP address sent them to that specific area in Underworld, which we'll get to. Could have explained that a bit better, but it wasn't locked off, you know, when they left, was it? They could have got back any time by just going to the place. Am I missing something here? I feel like I might be missing something here. It was probably just a bit to get them into space. Yes, space, we'll get back to that. She can go home, she's very happy. Big old hugs. Kirito says, hey, can we bring Asuna? And Alice has just the most, what I would describe as the most pissed off smile in the world. She's like, trying to keep her cool, but damn it, she wants to keep Kirito-kun to herself. And hey, don't we all? Kirito, true ladies man, he made it work. The three of them go and tell Rinko basically what's going on. Like, can we go into the Underworld, please? And she's like, yeah, sure, whatever, get in. This time, there shouldn't be any danger. And I'm just like, have you just jinxed it? Have you just No, they didn't jinx. Well, they sort of jinxed it. We'll get there. So it's been 200 years. They're like, it's only been 200 years. I doubt anything's changed that drastically. And I'm just like, wait, they were in charge. What did you do, Kirito? How did they do that in 200 years? I guess they would have had the future knowledge. So I guess they totally did it. They're totally responsible for what happened. Kirito, Asuna, more Kirito, because not insulting Asuna's intelligence. Kirito's more of a nerd than Asuna is. He would know that stuff. Damn it, Kirito, what did you do? Is basically what I'm going to say. They promised they'll wake Selka the first thing they get in there. They didn't. So, you broke your promise, you know. Feels like a weird thing for them to not do, you know, in the anime. Like, regardless of whether it happens in the light novels, I haven't read it yet that far, so I don't actually know. But it feels weird they wouldn't just have, like, even like an epilogue slideshow at the end or something, you know. Maybe it happens in the next arc. I have no idea, I'm going to be honest. But, hey, Selka's the only one that could get to the real world, so maybe they're saving that. I have no idea. I'm going to be completely honest with you. They get sent in, the three of them. Kirito and Asta on the STLs, and Alice, because I guess she's a flight, she can just log in from a regular chair. She seems to get plugged in by USB, I guess, not USP. That's a unique selling point, different thing. The important thing is that all three of them can get inside the Underworld. So when they log in, they're flying. Where are they? They're in outer space. You can tell because there's the Earth there. You can see like the outline of the human empire, and I guess like there's bits of the dark territory lit up as well. So I guess they're more friendly now. Also, the Underworld may have more than just that little bit we know. That's probably like one continent, and then like there's other land as well. So that's also an interesting thing we found out. And then there are space jets with, I guess, Ronnie and Tease's descendants in it, which, okay, didn't see that coming, but what can you do, I guess. There's a space beast, which looks very, very much just like a SAO boss monster. Like, I don't know if it actually is, but it wouldn't surprise me. Kirito stands in the way of it, unfazed, as he often does. Swordland starts playing. Kirito does a lot of release recollectioning. However, he doesn't get the killing blow, not even close. Asuna also wrecks it with her Stacia powers. Why did they give her the Stacia account just for this? You know, she'd be like, no, you start at level 1 just like everyone else. And then, of course, Alice finishes it off as it tries to, you know, you got to kill all the parts of it. Otherwise, it comes back. Alice finishes it off. Ronnie and Tease seem to recognize Alice, or not Ronnie and Tease. I'll probably refer to them as that because I missed their names. But, you know, it's not actually them. It's their descendants. They got the same voice. They look very similar. But it's not actually them. They recognize Alice, and then it's like, we know them too. We know Kirito and Asuna. And also a weird thing, because like, oh, not a weird thing, but I guess it makes sense. On the back of their like jets, there's like an emblem with the night sky and Asuna's radiant light sword on it. So, presumably, Kirito and Asuna made a logo for their kingdom, and it was their swords. That's just how I'm looking at it. They also say at one point, they're like, are they going to fight that thing with just a sword? And it's like, mate, you obviously don't know Kirito. It makes a lot of sense. So yeah, that interesting thing, the sword thing, that logo, fun fact, I guess. I was looking through the SAO Twitter, not the official Twitter, like the hashtag, and apparently that logo with Kirito and Asuna's sword also shows up in Excel World, which I don't know what. I'm not touching that, but it's very like, huh, you know, very suspicious. I mean, it's you know, that's. Everyone pretty much knows they're the same universe, but it's interesting that Kirito and Asuna, you know, still went through all this, because I'm not going to get into that. That could be a whole different video. You know, the Ghost Yu-Gi-Oh is there and waves at not Tease, which, you know, again, it's not actually Tease, so it kind of loses all meaning. But the real reason is to have, I guess, the four main characters of the Alicization arc together, in my view. Like, you got Kirito, Asuna, Alice, and Yu-Gi-Oh, all sort of in the same place at once. You know, very gutted they didn't do a shot with all four of them waving. Like, there's a shot of the three of them, and then there's a shot of Kirito and Yu-Gi-Oh. I'm like, just do a shot with all four of them waving. It makes more sense. But then the jets fly back. The opening starts playing, like, which is nice to see. The jets fly back to Underworld. Credits come down, and over the back of the credits is a picture of Kirito, Yu-Gi-Oh, and Alice as kids. Very nice. As I said, would have liked like a montage, like of just saying, here's what everyone ended up. And again, after this bit plays, there's a little post-credit scene, which I'm trying to decipher. I've tried my best. We have Kirito, first it's like a text thing, saying like they'll have to face the, was it inter-information war? Which I don't think is an actual thing. Like, I think it's just like a term for what they're going to have to go through in the real world to get the floodlights, you know, properly integrated, as opposed to the name of the next arc, because that wouldn't make any sense. Could be wrong though. And then at the very end we have the robot, Niemon, that Kayaba was controlling, holding onto a wire under the sea, which probably should have mentioned this. I presume that the email that Alice got sent was from Kayaba and, I guess, Dark Kirito, because they didn't really follow up on that unless that was them, you know. That's the only thing they really did. And this robot is gripping the wire under the sea, which I guess is sort of how they got the IP address to the Underworld. I'm not entirely sure. This bit needed better explaining, I think. What else happened? Kirito has a floodlight in his room now, I think. I think it was Kirito's room with a floodlight. So, again, not too sure about that unless it wasn't Kirito's room and it was Higa's room with the Kirito floodlight. Not entirely sure, as I said, though, so that could be anything. And then at the end it says, Kirito will return, and it's got SAO Kirito. What could that mean? Oh my god, well, we'll get to that a bit later. I'm sure you've seen, but I'll just save it for the end because it's easier. So yeah, that was the end of the episode. Aside from some things needing a bit better explaining as to what exactly what Kyra and Dark Kirito, Star King Kirito, whatever you want to call him, whatever they did, that could have used a bit better explaining. But otherwise, I'd say this was a fine episode. And then we had a space battle, and that was really weird, but I was cool with it, I guess, because it shows that the Underworld has evolved. Basically shows what the hell Kirito and Asuna did. They sped technology along like that, which I guess is fine. You know, if they ever go back to the Underworld, it's going to be like a completely different experience because it's all futuristic and jazz, and that's pretty cool. But anyway, what was my favourite part of the episode? That is a good question. So my favourite part of the episode, what it was just the weird space battle, because it was so out of nowhere, but it was still cool. You know, Kirito, Alice, and Asuna all got to do their cool things. It was cool, but it was very, very out of nowhere. Like, if you had told me, even last episode, hey, they're going to have a space battle, I would have said, you're flipping insane, you know? No way. But then they did. Okay, I'm cool with that. To be fair, it does open up the possibility of them to, you know, do more stuff in the Underworld, because, you know, they've got the IP address. They're friends with Rinko, so I guess they'll just get her to let them hop in whenever. They could do some interesting stuff with it. I'm curious to see. Curious to see where it goes from here. Obviously, it's not going to go from here now, which we'll get to. We'll get to it at the very end, I promise. But yeah, no. Anyway, now, I enjoyed the finale. I think it was a good finale, personally. But what we're going to get to now is what I thought of the series as a whole. And by as a whole, I don't know if I mean... I'll just talk about both. So, we'll talk about just this path of War of Underworld. Just hype non-stop. It was very like, oh, here's a cool fight, cool fight, cool fight. And then we had the little real-world bit at the end, which I at first was like, okay, how are they going to make this work? Because we've seen, you know, the big final fights happen. How are they going to make this bit exciting? They made it quite interesting. I thought it was pretty good, me. But as I said, to each their own. And, I should probably... No, I'm not going to do that. Screw the haters. I'm not even going to give them any airtime. War of Underworld as a whole might be the best season. Like, I know Alicization is one season, but it would just splitting hairs here. War of Underworld might be the best season. In terms of just straight up action and fighting, it's definitely the best season, like, without a doubt. And I guess, I mean, the problem a lot of people had with the second half, which I kind of agree with, is just how much incarnation was used. Like, everything was incarnation, which is fine, but it almost came across as like, oh, we want to do a cool thing, so we're just going to have incarnate. It's like a get out of jail free card, essentially. And I can't complain too much. You can say it's stupid all you want, but they established that in the world. Like, it's not like they're pulling things out of their ass. They're pulling things out of their ass, but they put a pull things out of your ass mechanic in the world. So it's better than just pulling it out your ass. But it is still a bit like, okay, you know. But I didn't mind it because, you know, it wasn't like they were winning easily. Like, Kirito started to fight his ass off against, like, Subtilizer. So I'm cool with it. That's just me. Alicization as a whole, I mean, it feels like it's been going on for ages. It's been, like, what, 2 years, I think? 2 years ago it started, which is crazy. And it's weird because it's always been a constant. Even when it's not been airing, it's been in the background. Like, I've known, all right, we've got this much till SAO comes back. It's always sort of been in my mind. And now, you know, to not have that, we'll get to the thing in a minute, it's going to be kind of weird. But I think as a whole, I've really enjoyed it. I make no secret about the fact that I am absolutely a Sword Art fanboy. Like, people can crap all over me for that. I don't really care. Like, I'm aware of its faults. You don't need to write a lengthy paragraph saying all the faults. I know the faults, but that doesn't stop me enjoying it. So that's basically where we're at with that. I think that's where most people, like, are. I feel like it's not something at this point. If you're a fan, it's not even that, like, you don't see it. It's like, it doesn't bother you. And that's fine. You know, I think Alicization was... I mean, it opened up the world of Sword Art so much. Like, the opportunity for... I don't want to be that guy, like, oh, they can do so much more. But no, you know, we've got more major characters. The Underworld is probably the most interesting world easily, I would say, because it's like a world and not a game. I think it's been a very good addition and a very welcome addition. You look forward to seeing what they're doing next. The real question is, how the hell are they going to top War of Underworld for the next major arc? Because I know that there's the Unital Ring arc, which I'm not going to talk about it much, but the Unital Ring arc's the next major arc, and that is like, I don't really know what goes on in there, but I'm just thinking, how can I make it more climactic and more, as an ending than what they did in War of Underworld with all the people logging in? It was literally all the characters in a war against, fighting together, teaming up with the Underworld and the gamers. Yeah, I don't know how you can really beat that unless we're going to get Kirito versus Kirito. Like, regular Kirito against the 200-year-old Dark Star King Kirito. That's the only possible thing they could possibly do in my mind. But maybe they will, maybe they won't. But anyway, I think it's been really good. And I know people are going to crap on me for that, but that's fine. I'm okay with that. Anyway, let's quickly... I'm trying to think if I should do a transition here, or should I just talk about it? Let's just talk about it, screw transitions. Let's talk about what got announced. So, Sword Art Online Progressive got announced. And what that is, if you're not aware, I've seen some confusion online because all the news places are calling it like a retelling of Aincrad, which is technically correct, but doesn't really do much to make it interesting. Basically, by retelling, people think, oh, it's a remake of the original. No, it's not a remake of the original. What Progressive is, it's a separate light novel series to regular Sword Art Online. It goes through each floor of Aincrad one by one. So you start on floor 1 and then progress from there. Progressive. Floor 1 is the only one. Like, they could skip floor 1 when they get to the Progressive anime and they wouldn't miss much. Like, it is different from what we saw in season 1 of Sword Art, the Ilfang fight. That is basically part of Progressive. It is part of Progressive, but it's not exactly the same. They can leave floor 1 in if they want for the Progressive anime, because it is different enough to where it's fine if they do it, but at the same time, it's a bit like, you don't have to. You could start from literally the scene when Kirito goes up the stairs, and it'd be fine. It'd also make a really good entry point. It's like, okay, you watch episode 2 of Sword Art, and then you jump over to Progressive. I'm looking forward to it. I have read all of what that's out of Progressive at the moment. There are 6 light novels out, getting to floor 6. So this, as I said, it's floor by floor, one by one. They're taking their sweet ass time, which is interesting. I'm looking forward to see how the anime does, because especially compared to War of Underworld, everything's really flashy, everyone's really OP. Progressive, I would say they're significantly less OP. It's very these are the early levels. They've got limited resources, limited skills, limited Kirito's a kid still, basically. Asuna also, you've seen the start of Sword Art. They're not the absolute killing machines they turn into. They're basically just regular players. Kirito can't even dual wield in Progressive, so hopefully it should do something for people that say Kirito's way too OP. I doubt it, though. Those people can't be pleased at this point. But I'm looking forward to it. It should be very interesting. Don't know when it is. I would presume late next year, early 2022. Just off the top of my head. I could be wrong, though, but hey, however long it takes, how long it takes. I don't know how much they're covering. They'll either have to cover 4 light novels or 6, because Volume 5 is halfway through the 6th floor. So, they'll have to do 5 and 6 together. So it'll probably be all 6, I would imagine, which, it should go alright. Considering if they need to, they can cut floor 1, because it's already sort of animated. They can make a decent 24, 25 episode series out of that. Hopefully they do. It's going to be weird, though, because outside of Kirito and Asuna, and I guess Aegil, there's no other major characters. There's a motorcycle going off. That means I've got to wrap this up, I guess, because it's very loud. Thank you, everybody, for watching this review. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoyed Sword Art Online as well, as far as it is, as much as you can. If you enjoy it, that's fine. If you hate it, that's fine too. But don't crap on other people is the gist of it. Anyway, I will see you in whatever you decide to watch next at some point. I'll be doing a video saying what I'm watching for next season. I'll have to actually decide what I'm watching for next season. I've got some things for definite, but I'll have to go through the actual list at some point. That'll be fun. See you whenever. Take care. Subscribe and stuff for more. There's other stuff, obviously, as well. See you then. I've said that 3 times. And bye, guys.